Traders are still digesting yesterday's news from the United States about a considerable decline in inflation. And now investors are sure the Fed will switch to a more dovish stance. The regulator is expected to raise the key rate just once, that is at the meeting in July. Nevertheless, today Europe will disclose a bulk of macroeconomic reports that may affect currencies in the long term. Although a decline in industrial production accelerated to 2.3% from a 1.6%, and the pound sterling and the euro continue gaining in value. However, the rise is not as rapid as it was just after the publication of the US inflation figures. The fact is that the UK industrial production data was better than expected, as economists had predicted a deeper fall of 2.4%. Meanwhile, data on the EUROZONE industrial production turned out to be alarming. Until recently, the indicator was rising by about 0.2%, and this time it dropped by 2.2%. The fact that the growth was replaced by a decrease is a very negative factor. What's more, economists had foreseen a smaller drop of 1.4%. In other words, the data was worse than anticipated. Against the backdrop and the US dollar oversold conditions, a rebound seems to be reasonable. Judging by the magnitude of the greenback's depreciation, the correctional movement could be quite long. It means that the US currency will gain in value until the end of the week, though very slowly. On the trading charts, we see that euro continues climbing against the US dollar, and it has already reached its local high of the midterm trend. Since early July, the euro has added approximately 300 pips. Under the current conditions, we see an inertial movement. That's why traders may ignore the overbought conditions, relying on other technical tools. In this case, the quote may continue gaining in value and hit a new resistance level of 1.12. However, traders should keep in mind that inertial movements caused by high speculative activity could be very unpredictable. At any moment, speculators may close long positions, thus putting a drop. The pound sterling also goes on a growing against the US dollar, and it has already exceeded the level of 1.30. Since the beginning of the month, the pound sterling has appreciated by about 350 pips. It's a considerable price change, especially amid a lack of noticeable drops during this period. According to the technical analysis, the overheating of long positions may force traders to close them, and thus causing a decline from the psychological level. However, speculators may ignore the technical signals and continue to trade around the level of 1.30. This, in turn, may lead to an upward inertial movement. However, traders will get important signals if the price goes far from the psychological level. If the pound sterling settles below 1.2950, it may slide even deeper. Meanwhile, the price consolidation above 1.3050 may pump up the volume of long positions. That's all for now. Subscribe to our channel and follow news with us, and see you soon.